Hey guys, and welcome back to the series. Last time we went through shortcuts in Jupyter Notebooks and just simple, quick ways on how you can move around in Jupyter Notebooks without having to use your mouse all the time. And today we are going to actually do something that is accessing documentation with the question mark. Yeah. So most Python objects contain documentation on how you can use the object, its parameters, and just a few examples on how that can happen. Oftentimes, if you're a beginner like me, you do Google searches on how to perform certain functions on objects, and that whole back and forth can get really tedious. And I think not just beginners do this, because if this exists, everyone must be doing this. So you can access the help function in Python by basically just typing help and specifying what you need help with. So this is going to return basically just a tiny documentation on how you can use it. So for the length function, you have your object, and this returns the number of items in a container. Yeah, so it turns out this is not the easiest way, or rather, this is not the fastest way to do this. And you can actually do this with the question mark sign. So if we did the same thing and added the question mark sign, we saved ourselves a couple more clicks, and the output is more concise and sorry, the output is more concise and I think is way better than this. So it gives you the signature, which is the structure of how it's supposed to go, and then a doc string. So the doc string basically just gives you a tiny bit of information on how to use that object. And you could do this with a number of objects and functions. We could try with the enumerate function. Yeah, so the enumerate function returns an enumerate object. It's an iterable, an object supporting iteration, and then it goes on and on and on and on. Yeah, I should probably turn off those notifications, but we're already recording. It goes on and on and on. So you could do this with a bunch of other things. I'll leave you guys to explore. And also, you could add doc strings into your own code. So doc strings are just basically a short explanation of what your code does. So adding a doc string to your code is really easy. You just have to surround it with a bunch of quotes. So let's do that right now. So let's write a small function that squares numbers. Yeah, that squares a number, basically. And sorry about that. That squares a number, basically. And then we're going to add a doc string right here. So we're going to say squares number or whatever. Yeah. Then we're going to return a squared. Okay, that's good practice. We're going to return a squared. And then we can access doc string just like we have accessed the other ones with the use of the question mark. So we could just say square, and then that gives us the structure of our function, the doc string, and the location, and the type. I actually didn't notice this, and the type. Yeah, so this is especially useful for people who keep functions they don't want to keep on writing every time. You could just access the folder that has your functions, and then you could try to use, or not really try, you will use the question mark sign to validate if the function that you are getting is the actual function that you need. Yeah. So I think this is one of those useful things that may save you a bunch of time when you have a lot of work to do. And be sure to play around with this. If you could go through the book and see the exercises on this, that would be really helpful. But the book doesn't cover a lot on this. This is basically as far as it goes. So yeah, this is also as far as I'm gonna go. So I'll see you in the next one.